Hey guys, Pete here. This is my Watchmen Episode 6 trailer breakdown. Episode 6 will air on HBO this Sunday with the title, This Extraordinary Being. The episode description reads, deep under the influence of nostalgia, Angela gets a first-hand account of her grandfather's journey. I'm going to go through this Episode 6 trailer scene by scene. We're officially in the back half of Season 1 of HBO's Watchmen, and this video will contain spoilers for everything that's happened in the series so far, things that have popped up in other trailers, and of course the source material. After the scene-by-scene breakdown, I will talk about some theories and clues about future episodes, and I'll give you a second spoiler warning if you want to avoid those. The tagline for an in-universe pharmaceutical reads, "The present is a worrisome time because the future is unknown. That leaves only the past to comfort us." The Watchmen Episode 6 official promo opens with Angela Abar, aka Sister Knight, in a jail cell in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Special Agent Lori Blake says, "Angela, you're not supposed to take someone else's nostalgia. That's very bad." In the first couple of shots we see of Angela, it does in fact look bad. We can tell she is starting to feel the effects of taking her grandfather Will's bottle of pills, which she learned were nostalgia from Looking Glass right before she was arrested at the end of the last episode. If you haven't been reading the supplemental materials or didn't watch my episode 5 recap, then you're probably wondering what that means. The tagline I mentioned before is from Nostalgia's marketing materials, which go on to say, "Nostalgia by Trieu is a revolutionary, all-natural, personally customized medication for people suffering from anxiety, dementia, and psychic trauma. Nostalgia turns memories of your choice into easily digestible tablets that allow you to experience those memories in the most lucid way possible. Nostalgia is produced through a treatment of neurochemical scanning at a licensed Trieu clinic. The procedure is safe, quick, and painless." So when we see Lori holding up a consent for emergency treatment form, as she says, "Is it starting?" we know that Angela is getting ready to go on a ride, experiencing Will's memories. We have a visual to guide us in a character who is portrayed in black and white, and he's playing a drum in her cell. Lori is worried about a couple of things. First, we know that nostalgia's been taken off the market because it can cause psychosis. Looking Glass's ex told us that. The second thing comes straight from the nostalgia pamphlet again. It says, "Ingesting nostalgia made for another individual erodes the boundary between self and other and catalyzes hyperactive empathy or extreme fight-flight responses." It goes on to include an impressive list of things that you would never want to have happen to you as possible side effects of taking someone else's pills. There's a lot to talk about here with this medication, so I'll come back to it after we finish the scene by scene. What we see next is a trip back in time, complete with black and white footage to mark that it's different. We visit a club where we see Angela's grandparents having a conversation. She says to him, "You're an angry man, William Reeves." As it cuts from Grandma to Will, who looks like the actor who played Michael in The Leftovers, it changes to Angela, and she says, "I'm not angry." And this gives us a pretty good idea of how Angela's experiencing these memories. Sometimes she sees Will, sometimes she is Will. It all looks somewhat confusing. From there we go back a little bit further to the 1921 race massacre in Tulsa, where we see a young Will in his father's arms. Cal makes an appearance, and it looks like he's in the jail in the present day trying to get Angela to snap out of it. He says, "You are Angela Abar. I'm your husband Calvin. You have 3 children." While he's talking, we see Angela as a beat cop, and that ties into Lori telling her that Will was a cop in New York back in the day. What stands out about this shot is that it looks like she's holding a comic book that she hands to the other man. We can't see it clearly, but it looks like there's a big A on the cover of it in the title, which makes me think about Action Comics and Superman. That feels like a nod to Hollis Mason's origin story from Under the Hood. He talks about being obsessed with reading Superman and not wanting to be seen as an adult reading it. There's also been a lot of comparisons to Superman's origin story thrown around, with plenty of references throughout the show that bring Superman to mind. So that's all something to think about. We see her pass through a doorway, and we see her shift back to the character of Will again, so it's just another reminder that things are hazy in these memories. From there we get a shot of her grandmother playing the piano as Will walks down the street in his uniform. This looks like 2 different memories mashed together, as her grandmother is in color and she's playing the piano out on the sidewalk, which is out of place. After that we see Bass Reeves pull off his hood, and we hear a couple of voices say, "Trust in the law." It's noticeable that one of the voices is a young William. In the Tulsa flashback in episode 1, we learned that he was a big Bass Reeves fan, and here we see his hero show his badge. Reeves is the name that Will uses, so it's assumed that he took his name from Bass after he left Tulsa. That cuts to a memory of Chief Judd Crawford saying, "You don't know what's really happening here." It's interesting to have Judd pop up in Will's memories because that would make it more likely that Will was actually the person who killed him. But we can't be sure if some of Angela's own memories aren't mixed into what we're seeing here. And there are shots of her sort of struggling mixed in with the shot of the blood dripping onto the badge that make things even less clear. The only thing that is clear is that Chief Judd will make one more appearance at least in the series. After a shot of Angela closing her eyes, we get a couple of images that flash on the screen. There's a flash of light, another shot of the drum, which we hear playing like a drum roll in the background, a flash in color that looks like a symbol of an eye overlaid on crosshairs. It's mysterious because the symbol almost looks like it's floating in the sky as it flashes on and off of the screen. The next image, also in color, is of a gloved hand holding a book. The title says Mesmerism for the Masses by W.C. Florentine. A quick search let me know that mesmerism was a technique that was used in the 19th century to more or less balance a person's invisible energy field. A man named Franz Mesmer created the technique, and there is a rabbit hole here if you're willing to go down it. The quick and easy explanation is that Mesmer was a bit of a showman. He probably believed what he was doing was helpful for people, and what he did was something that sounds like a version of chakra balancing based on what he called animal magnetism. Some people describe the technique as being similar to hypnotism. It's worth noting that the scientific community thought he was a charlatan. After that, we see a different book or a folder with a similar eye symbol on the cover. It looks like there are article clippings inside, but I couldn't make anything out except for the letters LLY at the end of a headline at the top. The same gloved hands close the book, and we get a few more flashes of both eye symbols as Cal says, "Angela, you need to come home. You need to wake up." The symbols with the eye are intriguing. They're not exactly the same, but they look related. It's possible that one is an early version and the other is an evolution. They also look related to the Seventh Kavalry symbol that we saw painted around the hideout where Looking Glass met with Keen. Those have the Dr. Manhattan symbol around the eye, but again, could be an evolution. Not the same, but probably related. It should be Will's memories we're seeing, so is this evidence that he has a connection to the Kavalry? Or was he investigating them and something he found led to him killing Crawford? No way to tell for sure here, but it should be important when we find out. We have a close-up of Angela's face, eyes open, as he says, "You need to wake up," and the promo ends there. She's sitting in the wheelchair under the tree here, so it looks like we'll find out what happened on the night Chief Judd was killed in this episode. This episode looks like a ride, and I'm down for that. If you're a fan of The Leftovers, you're probably catching some international assassin vibes here. I know I am. There's quite a lot to think about in this trailer, but the focus seems to be entirely on Angela and her grandfather, William Reeves. In the interview that came out this week where Lindelof explained that Veidt was on Europa, he also mentioned that the character doesn't appear in one of the episodes at all. After watching this, I'm guessing we might not be getting any Jeremy Irons this week. Seeing Angela as Will holding what looks like a comic is important. It feels important anyways. It has such a strong connection to Hollis Mason's story in Under the Hood that I'm starting to wonder how these two New York City cops were connected. The title of the episode, This Extraordinary Being, comes from Under the Hood when Hollis is describing the incident that we saw from American Hero story where Hooded Justice busts in through the window to the market. That's where he got his name. So it's clear that he was influenced by him, but the fact that they're both cops, I mean, it just seems like they may have been connected. That has something to do with why the description that he used in Under the Hood of who he thought it was might be misdirection. With that, I'm going to jump into theories and speculation, which may contain light spoilers based on your tolerance. Now is the time to click away if you're worried about that kind of thing, but please give this video a like and hit the subscribe button before you go. As soon as Will Reeves showed up in a trailer, people theorized that he was Hooded Justice. The first trailer breakdown I made, which no one watched or commented on, had a few comments about it. Having read the comic and especially enjoying the supplemental stuff, I've been slow to jump on this bandwagon because of the obvious problem of Hooded Justice looking like a white man in every image we've seen of him. I understand that this is explained in those theories by him using whiteface, using paint, and how there's a parallel with Angela painting her face. The theory just didn't have enough to grab me. I favored the theories where Will inspired the original Hooded Justice, much in the way that it's believed Bass Reeves may have inspired the Lone Ranger. That was furthered along when I saw a post on Reddit from the original ideas from the Minutemen where they show a character named Brother Knight. He's not a character that made it into the story, but come on, his name's Brother Knight. It's in the Ultimate Watchmen, so people own this book and they've seen this image, and Angela's name is Sister Knight, so I had been leaning very much in that direction. As the series has progressed, it seems more and more likely that they are going to drop Hooded Justice being Will and the history of it being whitewashed. But either way, we should find out in this episode if Will is Hooded Justice or at least how he was connected to the Minutemen. In his original letter to fans about making Watchmen, Lindelof said, "We also intend to revisit the past century of costumed adventuring through a surprising yet familiar set of eyes, and it's here we'll be taking our greatest risk." In an Entertainment Weekly interview where he was asked about this, he said, "By the end of the 6th episode, it'll be clear who I was talking about. There won't be any space for debate. I think people will start to theorize who I was talking about prior to the 6th episode, but that's the one that makes the subtext text. So count me in for this reveal, and I know I said this episode looks like it would focus entirely on Angela and Will. There is a shot of American Hero Story Minutemen in the episode 6 promotional photos that HBO put out. It's Hooded Justice being interrogated at a police station, so I imagine someone will be watching the show in the episode, and that could play a part in the reveal. The fact that Nostalgia was created by Lady Trieu means that she knows what it does. She also knows Will left his behind for Angela to find and doesn't seem all that worried about it. It makes you wonder what is in those particular memories that they want Angela to discover. There is no Lady Trieu sightings in this trailer, but with her story and Williams being so connected at this point, we may get a better idea of what's going on. Popular theories think that they may be trying to create an empathy bomb or some kind of empathy event where people will be forced to feel the historical pains that other people have experienced. Pretty oversimplification of it, but I think you probably already heard the theory. We know that she's giving something like nostalgia to Bien, her daughter, so these pills may play a part. And the reason I brought the empathy thing up is because it does stand out that one of the side effects from taking somebody else's memories or their nostalgia is that it catalyzes hyperactive empathy. So that is the big stuff in this trailer. It looks like a pretty exciting episode. Like I said, there's real international assassin vibes here. I can't wait. Ozymandias, Lady Trieu, and the rest of the cast in Tulsa may be on the back burner for this period of time, but I think that what we learn about Will is going to be game-changing, not only for the current story, but for the history of costume adventuring. So I'm really excited. Let me know in the comments what you're excited about. What questions do you have about the trailer? What questions do you have about the season? What are you hoping to see? What theories do you like? Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. I will talk to you soon.